Guys, how's it going? This is Sean Phoenix, otherwise known as Phoenix Master 5 PSN, coming at you with a regional recap. Now, I took this Laval deck in the previous video that I made 2 regionals the other day, and me and my buddies went down there at like fucking 7 in the morning, whatever, and I was working off a half-hour sleep and didn't do so hot. But I wasn't expecting to really do as well as I wanted to because, well, I got a half-hour sleep. And I also have a huge lack of knowledge for other decks out there, so I wasn't too shocked, but I still had a good time. I still had a lot of fun buying cards, spending money, hanging out with friends, spending money. Oh yeah, did I talk about wasting money? Anyways, we're going to go into the regional recap with the records and the sideboard. We'll talk about the sideboard first. If you don't know what's in this main build right now, I'll leave a link or annotation to get to it. We're going to move that out of the way. For my sideboard, we got one system down. You know what it does. Any sort of Geargias or Machina decks out there, fuck their shit up. We got one Prohibition. Call it any card name, no one can use it. So, fuck shit up. We got one MST. Because of the fact that I don't have a lot of back row destruction cards aside from Lakeside Lady and Heavy Storm, I figured throwing in an MST would probably be a good idea in case I face something like Necro Valley or some like Macrocosmos, something dumb like that. We got one Return from the Different Dimension. In case Macrocosmos gets to go off, then all my shit goes away. Well, then I can try to pull that and see if it works out for me. Got one Starlight Road. I don't like running Starlight Road too much because of the fact that the Stardust only stays on the field for that one instant. You know, if it gets destroyed, if it gets used its effect, can't be brought back. But so I don't really favor it, but you know, it's a good card nonetheless. One Dragon Capture Jar. I realize there are better alternatives to dealing with Dragon decks than a Dragon Capture Jar, but I think it's hilarious to put them all in defense. And seeing as though the average defense of dragons are probably like 2,500 at highest. That's the average, mind you. Everything normally could be around like 24 and below, which means that Laval Dual Slasher fucks it up and be pretty funny. We got one Gozen match. This is against to mess up any wind-ups, elemental heroes, 6 Sams. What it does is you pick an attribute on your side of the field, and in this case fire, and they choose an attribute on their side of the field. And that's the only type of monster that they can have on their side of the field, and that only type of attribute. So for all those decks that are pretty rainbow based, fucks them up. One Imperial Iron Wall, stops Macrocosmos. One Light Imprisoning Mirror. This is great against any agent deck, any sort of light fairy deck in general. I actually got to use it once at regionals, and it really messed up the other guy for a good bit. I actually got to use it twice. One Master Restrict. If we're looking at those Frognarch builds, or any sort of builds really that have a tribute engine to them, that'll pretty much stop them dead. Royal Decree. Haven't sided in yet, just because I haven't really wanted to, because I like to use my own traps. So I'm actually thinking about taking that out and swapping it with something else. But overall, you know what it does. Stops all the other traps on the field. Sealing Ceremony of Catan. What this does is, if you know that your opponent likes to use its graveyard for small little nitpicks and pretty much help the engine of their deck run faster, you can banish one fire monster from your graveyard to banish one card from their graveyard. Now, this is good because with this build, you don't mind banishing a few Laval tuners here and there. Hell, even like a fucking Laval Synchro for that matter. Because then you get the cannon out, bring him back. We got one Needle Sealing. This is pretty funny of a card because then you set something and they go off with a big wind-up or 6 Sam play. Needle Sealing and fucks their shit up. And lastly, we got 2 Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors. This is most certainly good against any sort of dark-based deck. Dark Worlds fucks them up because when it's on the field, all dark monsters on the field and in the graveyard, if they got effects that happen there, it's not going to go off. So this definitely fucks up any sort of Dark World deck. That's enough for the sideboard. Any sort of comments and feedback about that sideboard would be much appreciated. And I'll definitely look at your comments, try to reply when I can. And yeah, I appreciate that. now onto the records here. We got match 1 versus the Agents. We went 1-2 and I lost. And bottom line was I lost because the dude had Honest in his hands. And I completely forgot about the fact of Honest even existing. So it was just bad play on my part. I really just fucked up because I was living on 200 life points for about 5 turns. He was untouched. Finally got Catastrophe out, was standing up a good chance. Then I decided to get something even bigger out and actually attack with the bigger guy to do some damage. And he does Honest on me. So what can I say? It's just nothing I could have done about that shit. Match 2, we faced the Kawaki deck. And this is the first time I ever faced a Kawaki deck. I don't know what the hell they do. I still don't know what the hell they do, other than the fact that they're pretty annoying. Like, went 1-2 with another loss. The win was just because he really didn't have anything going for him, and I got pretty mediocre plays going off just from shit draw. And the end, and the last loss, again, was just shit draw that really got me out. Match 3, I went 2-0 against a hero deck. Pretty much because Stenon was on the field, the guy couldn't target him, his Dark Hole was gone, really there was nothing he could have done about it. And match 4, we got versus the Dark Worlds deck. I actually won one, to be surprised enough. First game, he took me out and he wasn't touched at all. Second game, I got the Roach out, and fucking he had nothing he could have done. And the third game, I really just had a dead draw, and he was playing all these cards that messed with my hand to make it even more so of a dead draw. So really, that's all there was to it. And after 4 rounds, should have been a fucking 9-round tournament, but unfortunately, we all had to go. Me and my buddies had to head out for one reason or another. And as much as I would love to stay and get a better recap going, just didn't happen. But yeah, so as you can see, I went 1-3 at that tournament. It didn't really go so well for me, but I don't really mind. Another thing too is the extra deck that you saw in the build is pretty much at this point carbon copy of Lord Solar Prime. I'll send you a link in the video description or in annotations or sometime. But yeah, so shoutouts to him. Yeah, this is my Laval build, my main build, my sideboard, and my extra. And this was the regional recap. I'll post another video when I feel like it about something else. But yeah, take it easy, guys.